Hello, this week we're going to be talking about author's craft. Author's craft is the way an author chooses to write a story to make it better or more meaningful for you. Some ways an author does that is by setting a certain tone. A tone is an author's attitude or approach that they take to the work. They might also use some common other tools like dialogue when characters speak to each other, pacing, how fast or slow the story happens, descriptive language, which is writing that uses the five senses: touch, smell, hearing, sight, taste. These help you have a better formed picture in your head, helps you imagine the scene better. And an author uses specific word choices. They use specific words because they want to show you a certain meaning in a story. They don't just throw words out there for no reason. You're going to end up answering two questions. Those questions are posted on Google Classroom. They are clearly marked, and I would like you to answer them just like you have been all along. Reminder, no one should be putting done in the comments on our posts. So I'm going to read to you today from the Bailey School Kids' Dracula Doesn't Rock and Roll. I'm starting in the middle, but I think because of the tools we discussed before, you'll be able to understand the passage and answer those questions. Chapter 4 is called Bats, capital B, capital A, capital T. I don't want to die, Liza moaned the next day before school. Howie, Melody, and Eddie had met her under the oak tree on the school's playground. At least 3 inches of snow layered all the branches, and icicles hung from the nearby swing set. Eddie was busy stomping a path in the snow around the giant tree. He acted like he wasn't listening to a single word anyone was saying. Nobody's going to die, Howie said, patting Liza on the shoulder. But Mrs. Jeepers said we would die when the bats performed at the Winterfest, Liza whimpered. Every winter, the city had a big celebration in the gymnasium of Bailey School. This year's Winterfest was just 2 days away. Don't worry, Howie told her. We don't even know what bats means. If it's a secret only Mrs. Jeepers knows about, then it must be bad, Liza said with a shiver. We don't know that for sure, Howie said. Once we find out what BATS stands for, I'm sure everything will be fine. I know all about bats, Eddie said. They're what you use to slam baseballs out of the field. I don't think that's the kind of bats Mrs. Jeepers is hiding in her basement, Liza said. There's only one kind of bat our vampire teacher would protect, Melody said, and that's the kind with wings. We only have 2 days left until Winterfest, and for all we know, Mrs. Jeepers just brought her vampire buddies to a 2,000-year reunion. Do vampires have reunions? Eddie asked. Melanie jabbed him in the arm. Eddie stumbled and fell back against the tree. When he did, a pile of snow fell from the branches above and landed right on his head. How would I know? Melody asked. Do I look like a vampire? No, Howie whispered, but he does. Melody, Liza, and Eddie looked where Howie pointed. A man dressed in black floated from shadow to shadow, being careful not to walk on the sidewalk where the winter sun shone brightly on the ground. He wore a long black coat that dragged through the snow. Its collar was pulled up high, and a big black cowboy hat cast his face in deep shadows. The man acted like he didn't want to be seen. He looked up and down the street before hurrying across the school's parking lot. Then he pulled open the door to Bailey Elementary School and slipped inside. Who was that? Eddie asked. Melody scratched her head with a gloved hand. He reminded me of someone, she said. Howie nodded. Me too, he said, and it's someone straight out of a horror movie. Now in this book, the author has provided illustrations that will also help you. This is the illustration in this chapter. You can see the man that he was describing and the characters that we were having dialogue of before. If you need to replay this video to hear the text of the story, please go ahead, but please remember to answer the questions that I've put in the Google Classroom, and I will be listening to reading your conversations and talking to you guys about this week. Thank you.